Game number 1 of day number 1, week number 2. Plane in the sky as always, Milta over shooting range. Pretty much everyone can go where they want. Any changes? Right off the bat, we see Na'Vi. They do not want to go military anymore, seemingly. So they have gone up to contest Raise Your Edge, which I guess makes sense. I mean, there was a period where it was mainly Avangard, but there was a period where CIS teams were just known to always drop in this area of North George. But they have gone up to contest Raise Your Edge, and I mean, they don't have to fight each other. You can easily share North George between two teams, so no big deal there. It is kind of interesting though that Na'Vi seems to have so, not issues, but a hard time finding figuring out where they want to go. And the plane was, I mean, it was good for military, so. But nope, they don't want to go there. Knights, they go out east. NIP, they got their plane for George, so they will not contest anything out there. Ents, they go up north. Nothing surprising as far as where people go to loot. Circle is pretty centered as well. I mean, if you're Na'Vi now, you gotta figure, right? Do you want to cross over early, or do you want to like sort of sit around on either the you have like the hill area here or the compound in Cube, and wait for Raise Your Edge? Because Raise Your Edge will have two options: either you cross over to South George at some point late, or you try and go all the way over. Because they will not be able to rotate their normal eastern way until they know 100% that Na'Vi has left. And even when they have left, they don't know. I mean, they could be positioned anywhere, right? To hold them off. So either you go all the way up north and maybe go over here and down, or you wait until very late and you cross South George Bridge and go over. One of two options. We'll see what they end up doing. Circles closing on in. East side, there's so much room to maneuver around, so that's not really a factor to consider. Center though, Potato Mountain, always annoying, or Potato Hill, it's always a frustrating place to play around. I keep doing this, sorry. Frustrating place to play around. You can't really bring your vehicles that far up, only if you go really early. And because it's uphill, I mean, everything is uphill to this plateau. And with everything being uphill, you just don't want to drive. I mean, unless if you have bikes like we see Digital does, you don't really want to drive uphill if you can avoid it. It's just, there are trees everywhere, people can be hiding, people can take you out so easily when you come driving uphill. You won't have max speed and all that stuff, so rough for teams that try to make their way over Potato, especially when it's such a center position in the circle. G2, they're splitting 3-way. It makes sense. Maybe 2-way. Can't really see what Udir's doing yet. I like this split from Liquid, though. That's a really nice split. Keep teams out of the east side. Yemti can assist should something happen. Ibiza can give info. He can spot above what's happening. And Samti is holding the other house as well. So good job by them. Nice 4-way split there early on. Get a lot of info, and also you can see immediately GMT starts shooting above so they can't push down to Teams. So really smart. EMT rotates further up, swaps the vehicle for the hard spawn, goes back down. You heard that Na'Vi came in. And where's Raise Your Edge? What did they end up doing? Yeah, they're waiting late, as we talked about. They're rotating out extremely late, and then they're going over the bridge. Not a whole lot of surprises there. Digital, they've pushed up to Vitality. They'll be trying to take control, or at least fight. It's always horrible, because I don't think any of these teams, they really want to fight up here early game, but with there not being a whole lot of other places to go, when you're coming in early, it just makes things really tricky. FaZe, they probably saw, okay, so they here, you can see you have 8C and you have Uber and you have FaZe over here, and you have Knights on the other side, right? So they see all these vehicles start rotating out, and as soon as they go into them, as soon as they start driving, I actually kind of like this play from Knights. So Knights start driving, and FaZe, they start shooting as soon as they start driving, right? Now they drive off, but they stop here. And that baits the entire push from FaZe in. And they're anticipating it as well, right? They're waiting for it. So they start running back, like FaZe starts shooting as they go. And as soon as they see the vehicles leave, they go into their own cars. And at that point, they can't really focus on where Knights are going anymore, right? So they start pulling up here, and Knights just bait them in. Really smart play. I don't know if it's actually going to work out for them, but really smart played by But nice to try and see if they can get a kill while they were driving across or something like that. But clearly didn't really work the way they wanted it to. Circle once again up towards Potato. What do we have? 1 NIP went all the way around. 1, 2 Red Diamonds went on the west. We got CC out here, Crowd. We got Windstrike on the hills. We got Navi up here as well. Ratiates are coming in super late. Liquid, of course, prioritizing the double barns. That's where you want to go. These rotations, though, that's interesting. Okay, so Ratio Edge, they're rotating around. They say that you cannot go through these fields. There could be teams in these compounds. There could be teams already set up out here that could take us out. So this rotation is a no-go. You cannot go through here. I mean, you can go through, but it's a scary rotation. It makes sense that they don't want to do that. So they want to go all the way around. They want to go all the way up over the bridge. Maybe either over on the other side like this, or just like cut it down here. But all the way around the other side. But 3 teams have the same plan. Ratio Edge are beating them to it because they came out really early, right? The Ratio Edge are already up here. Windstrike now getting fought off. Obviously, Crowd hears this, but now they're fighting with NIP. No? Okay, so Windstrike and Ratio Edge forced to fight each other. NIP and Crowd all make their way up there. Chaos. Windstrike forced to go back in. And all the other teams are making their way over on the top. And the circle shifts north, so I guess that favors all of them. And look at this shift right here, right? Because right now, the entire north is clear. Obviously, until these teams come down. But what we go from is very condensed area with trees that can house a lot of people, up to forest area, big open area, huge open area. I mean, there's not a whole lot to play from in this new circle. All the teams that don't get some of these compounds that we're seeing here, Apps as well, of course, will be forced to somehow all fight in the forest down here. They will all be forced to fight in the forest, and that's going to be horrible. So everyone, as you can see, they want to get around. They know if we get stuck in here, if we lose our vehicles on the hill, there's no way we're ever getting north. So everyone is trying to make their way around the sides to get into better positions. As you can see, they're all going around, Crowd, they're coming in from the top, trying to scout themselves further down. You should scout this. Yep, exactly. Good job, guys. Scout it. Saw it was open. Took it. NIP, they're sitting up above. They probably need to fight out Crowd if they want to take this one. New circle pops, and we go center. And we just shifted out of what? 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't really count. But four compounds shifted out of. I guess that's not the worst thing, but I mean, there were teams in 3 of them. You still have Alamo open. You have Volcano open. But at this point, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams potentially outside the circle. And we've only lost 10 players so far. So it's going to be really tough. I mean, again, for all these teams that are down, for all these teams that are down south, it's going to be really tough for them to have to fight their way further inside. Base, start driving up. Crowd tries to push center. That doesn't work. They go down. A little optimistic at this point. Maybe they should probably have gone down for apps instead of trying to engage in a fight in Yellow House. Ratio Edge, the only 2 players up, but they're just chilling on the top side. G2 and Knights start fighting. Again, I mean, at this point, teams will have to fight, right? We can pretty much split it up here. This is all open. And this is with trees, but still uphill. So it's really easy for these teams that are sitting out here to shoot up towards them. Team Liquid full on pull up on ends. Once again, not going to happen. Ends says nope, with the help from other teams, obviously. We got 4 teams fighting in the forest. And facing the other side, they have to figure out how they want to sort of cut across. Because odds are they won't be in the next circle. And where the hell can they go from here? I mean, obviously the compound's taken. Can they just get one good knock? They might have a chance. Windstrike all try to commit to the shack. Not working. Base go on the other side. They have a little dip, but they're going to be visible to many. But they do get some damage done. Nice job. Ends down to just squeaky alive. M19 push out of the compound up towards TSM. I actually like the push across from face here. That's pretty smart. They have a little dip down there they can play from. Oh, Decipher. Rip. So Phage, they take good control. Red Diamonds, they've been playing the west side. I mean, they've been in a position where they could chill a little more on the west side. So fortunately for them, Mert all by himself now, and this is just, I mean, one of those sit behind each your tree, see if you can push around it, and they get them down. So not a whole lot more to it than that. Actually, game over in 28 minutes. That's pretty interesting. But as you can see, I mean, from early on when all these teams were fighting, they were fortunate that Liquid tried to push up here, because if not, they could have pushed further down and then tried to gone in. So if you look at Red Diamonds, they just constantly have like a buffer zone around them where no one really enters. Like they fight off one team, and then they go to third party. Oh, they actually help a bit. They actually do a bit of damage down towards a wind strike when they go for the shack. But well done by Red Diamonds, not letting anyone get close and taking full control. Splitting out, taking control uphill and downhill. Good job. Permit decipher __. Well done, well done, well done. That's game number 1. It's always a little interesting to talk about these center positions. Huh. I guess I spelled it wrong. Let's try again. Three underscores. Ah. Okay. That was game 1. Interesting one at that. We'll jump straight on into game number 2. Crow. I just say crow, because that sounds better. I know it's a crow, not a crow. But it's a crow crowd. That's what it is, right? Because it ends with a D in the last one. So it's crow crowd. Crow crowd. Yeah, true. So, game number 2 has taken its kicked off. Oh yeah, I saw pictures of this. This is the game that ends like miles southwest. True. Crowd. Yeah. You're right. NIP go off early. They will go east coast. No reason for them to try and go up to Georgia Pole and playing like that. Maybe they wish they had, but they don't. Wind strike out, splitting Gatka. Ratio edge, go prim. Military for Red Diamonds. They know that Navi ain't there, so they can just take full control. CC, they split up 2-2. Makes sense. Not a whole lot more to it. I mean, what you'd expect to see as fast rotations is just get your way in. Maybe set a position up here. Scout from here. Go further in here. You can go down south and you can scout from the forest area down here. See what you can spot further. You have the little plateau down here where you can both look out behind you, and you can also scout further forest. Or you can try to make it all the way down south. So plenty of opportunities for teams to come in, but like the main highways would obviously be splitting out through that field, going up north of Georgia Pole. Oh, Georgia Pole of Pochinki. And coming in up here as well. Those would be like the 3 main interests. And all, I mean, honestly, for TSM, they could, if they wanted to, go over. They know there's a military team, so it's a little scary, but they could potentially go military base. But it seems like they don't. They drive straight through all these teams instead. And they also know, you can see the rotations coming in now. Everybody knows that there's not going to be a whole lot to take. And if the first teams that come in don't go center enough, it's going to be really hard for all the other teams to really get into a, well, anything of a position. Liquid split 2-2. They are trying to get gathered up. Everyone rotating down south. Red Diamonds, they go like, hey guys, is there room for more? Circle goes west once again. And yeah, I mean, honestly, as you can see, there's like a whole wall of teams on the edge here. They will, of course, try to go somewhat further in, but they can't. And normally, that's the issue down here, right? Because normally what you would see is in that case, teams would just swoop on the other side had this been a circle that was anywhere else. But because all of this is water and people most likely want up to go in boats, it kind of screws them up because you can only, I mean, your only entry to the circle is between these 2 points. And if this is all you have to rotate through, and the remaining parts here are inaccessible, which they of course aren't, you could take a boat, but I would not expect to see anyone do that. This is the only point of entry you have to a circle. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams outside, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams on the edge. I mean, that is not going to make things easy at all. You can see now teams will be, of course, the 8 actually, make that 8 teams outside. Teams will try to make their way in, but as you can see, they get stumbled up on the edges. Now NIP, they're forced to wait because Navi has decided to split where they have. They all know it's going to go away from water at some point soon, right? So not this circle that's coming up, but the one after that. So they're trying to get themselves into a position that should the next circle go north, then the one after that will have to shift into Navi. Same thing happening here. Nobody wants to position themselves all the way down by the water because it has to go away. So they don't want to go all the way out, which means that for the teams that are coming in from the east, they won't have a whole lot of room to maneuver in. But everyone's fighting south, of course. People try to swoop underneath as far as they could. But, well, there's only so much space to move when the water is in play. Swamp is gonna house M19. Liquid, they're sitting around on in the compound down there. And this circle is the funny one as far as I remember from the pictures. Yeah. Oh, this is a horrible circle. I would love to cast this game because there's just, I mean, they were already down to 51 players, right? And even more just continuously dying. So now you know, I mean, the circle is gonna go look something like this, the next one. And Liquid are going to be in M19. They're trying to take a split position. But again, I mean, look at this. This is where you can enter from, right? If you're not in already. This is the circle entry points. So you get like, not half the circle, but like 45% of the circle you can enter through. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half teams still outside. How the hell do you fit 9 teams in this when there's a team sitting here? Liquid ain't gonna move. Windstrike ain't gonna move. So that's pretty much this area blocked off. Then you have Navi. They're fighting ends right now, so that could be some room coming up. But I mean, if we make it, if we draw the line here and here, and of course this down here is inaccessible, and this up here is as well. If we draw the line here and here, and we say, okay, so if Liquid is smart, they will be looking outward, which means that I would say from here to possibly here, you can't go through as far as what they can see. Windstrike will do the same, so they'll be here up to here. This is gonna be a no-go. This is gonna be a no-go. We have this, you have this, and you have this up here. And this is, I mean, there's already fights going on up here, so that ain't even that easy, right? But you have these 3 points which you can enter the circle from. There, there, and in the forest south. And you have 8 teams that have to fit through there in the span of the next, what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds maybe. So yeah, that's gonna be tricky, that's for sure. This is the best game for TSM yesterday, sadly. I don't know, I didn't get to see the games yesterday. I didn't get to see them. I'm watching them through this. Of course, I watch the bots as well. But yeah, it is a death circle. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's no entry point for all these players. They're all completely caught off. I mean, you can see they have to, Knights have to fight Red Diamonds. Jokers have to fight FaZe. Now they're trying to maneuver in so they can just sit and gatekeep them instead. But still, when you see, circle has to go here and all these players are already there. But all these guys down here, they're just forced so many light years outside of it. Swiftly just chilling all by himself. Everyone caught in swarm down here. TSM, they're just, TSM Team Liquid, they're just chilling in their compound. Knights go down. Uba is in the blue, he goes down too. TSM, they're up on the northern edge. Circle goes out once again. And not only does it shift out, but you have this road here, right? This entire area, I mean, let's draw it in another color. This entire area here is an open field. It's a little hilled, of course, but or hilly, but it's just, I mean, it's a no-go. And if that's the entry point to the circle, then I mean, there's nothing you can do. Gustav left behind, gets 1, gets 2, gets 3. Did he solo them? No, Michael got 1 as well. Well done, Danish power. Liquid tries to fight off Jokers. They manage to do. TSM comes to third party. That's the thing, right? They all have to clear this side of the road, and now the circle is shifting over again. So now you have to cross somehow. Smoke's being thrown, everything being thrown, trying to get over. Ghost up by himself. 4 teams alive. He goes down in 5th. NIP on the top. They have some room to maneuver. Raise your edge. They landed Primorsk, so I guess they're happy with that. 3 guys alive still. Enod and Constantine get down 2. And then it's just, I mean, pushing to the circle. You can see the way that Raise your edge has split off. I actually like Wanted pushing up to this position. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to play from in this area. But him taking center position, that's pretty smart. Constantine goes in the blue to get some loot, goes back in. Now they know exactly where they have them. They pull up and take full control. I like it. Constantine goes in the blue and dies. Smart play by Raise your edge. As soon as they spot out both of them, you can see Copper Magic. He gets the shot fired on towards, I believe it's Enot. And they see, whoop, full confirm. There are 2 guys up there. Boom. Send them all up. Pin them in. Like, force them out in the blue. And well, they do, and they win. So good job by Raise your edge in what... Yeah, some might argue a pretty messed up circle there, but or game overall actually, but interesting nonetheless. Oh no, we forgot to change the game number thingy. We'll do that now. Game 3. We skipped one. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. And again, questions, please ask. Don't hold back. There are no stupid questions. There are stupid questions, but I'll try to answer them, even if they are stupid. If I can answer stupid questions, that's the question, right? Can I answer the questions that you might ask? I don't know if I. But yeah, we'll go on. Game number 3. And if I'm going through this too quickly, if there's something like a rotation that I mentioned. That hey Toby, you were talking about this, could you please elaborate, or could you slow down because I don't get it? I mean, I've done so many of these videos now that I repeat myself a lot, which makes sense because it's still the same game. So sometimes I maybe go over things a bit too fast for some of you guys who are new to watching. So if there's anything you want elaborated on or explained better, please do say. Navi go north, they didn't get Millie. I mean, I thought, okay, so I guess Raise your edge, they've just full on given up on North George now. Huh. Northeast circle. Can't be lucky every time. Would I rather drink orange juice expecting expecting it to be milk? I like how it's always Dofus who gets me into these weird conversations. I think I would go with the first one. Because orange juice is like a fresh what do you say? A fresh surprise. I guess, you know, like fruity surprise. Whereas if you expect to drink orange juice, like if you want that fresh juicy surprise, then a glass of like half cold ish milk might not be that good. It's more, what do you say, like kvalm. I don't know what the word is in English. Yeah, but you know what I mean. So I think I'll go with the first one. Very nice and relevant question, though. Thank you so much for asking. I feel like I became a better PUBG analyst from answering that question. Okay, goodbye. Anyway, Northeastern Circle. I mean, it is Northeastern, but it could still easily go back down where we ended game 1. Navi, East rotations, they're already moving. Down here, and that's what's so interesting, when you have 3 teams looting in the south, and you have a split team looting up north of them, you always have to figure, okay, so do we push up early to try and take control? Or like, can we push up early while they're looting, maybe get a kill or force them to go? Or do we wait until they're all teamed up? I mean, until they all sum together, so that we will get something for free for sure. Like if it's 4 guys, we'll know immediately when we drive by it, go away, get something else, and then like if they see 4 guys in either of these areas at any point, they will expect the rest of it to be open, knowing that, well, it seems to me like Knights, they've committed to one place, right? So it's always interesting. I would assume to see FaZe hug the eastern side. TSM, I actually kind of curious to see what they're gonna do. I would assume as well that G2 are gonna go to the forest and scout from there. They normally do that. Liquid compound. Maybe G2 would want to go to forest, scout heaven, and go there. And I'm saying maybe because I didn't watch these games, so I actually don't know. I'm just trying to put myself in the head of them, but I do not know what TSM would do here. Maybe go shelter edge, scout forward, and take like 2-2 split south. We'll see. We'll see. It's always interesting. What does TSM do in a circle like this? Okay, so Liquid go up here, scout, and go further. Yellows. Yasnaya. Okay, so they go south side Yasnaya. TSM go out late. FaZe go up. Knights, they go further north. Makes sense. Michael is a scout from the US. Spots out FaZe. Realizes we can't go there. So he's kind of stuck in Alamo. G2 sends Chris up early to scout. The team comes in to join. They go in the dip to scout. So there. Continue up to yellows. Or what? Okay, now new circle pop, so it doesn't really matter anymore. But it's interesting, and I think one of the reasons here might be that you have knights looting up here. You have knights splitting it so wide, right? Which means that at any point, because it's so open, at any point, if you're TSM, if you're G2, I mean, you know, at any point can any of these other two teams come up and position themselves where they can just, I mean, fuck over your rotation if you try to go up this way. But so therefore, like, they're trying to say, you know what, guys, you guys can push up forward. You can go first. We'll just wait till later, and then it becomes really interesting from there. I'm not sure why so many teams are sticking on the north side though. Okay, so Digital, they go up here because they think, okay, if it goes anywhere north of here, then we're already north of the water. We don't have to cross anything. We can just play it on the backside up this direction. Windstrike, they go up. They probably spot out Digital, and therefore they're playing it safe. Because normally if you come in to sit on the edge anyway, like normally if you're planning on sticking on the edge anyway, you normally wouldn't go in before the circle's about to pop. Like, I still think they're rotating rather early for them to just sit this far out. I mean, in an IP rotation makes sense, right? Because they're not coming in that late, and they're still early enough to go far north that they will have a far enough over position until the next circle pops. Like, they'll be far enough in before the next circle pops to get something good off of it. Whereas the Windstrike, they kind of just pin themselves down far out west. Oh, now, okay, now they're going for it. Oh, I guess Tix just split it off. They could have taken much better positions. I mean, they know that Digital is down here. Sure, they were shooting at them. Then go back and like go around and go over, or go under and over. You could easily have gotten something better if they're rotating so early anyway. Because they set up here, I like the rotation. Gatka split, go up to Everest, scout further forward, move up, but then instead of stopping here, they could easily have gone around in so many ways, instead of just saying, you know what, okay, we found our team, let's not go any further. So that's just me. So new circle pops, and it goes northeast. We saw that just before. And of course, everyone's trying to make their rotations on up. Yes, Naya is going to block off some of the teams that are coming in late. You don't want to go through this field when you have to rotate. But of course, I mean, you can pretty much go anywhere else. So anywhere on the right side or east side, anywhere on the north side. It's just like easy access points. Whoops. To the circle. TSM, they go out wide. They lost 2 players. Everyone's trying to take themselves some good positions up north. Liquid back to their old spot from Yasnaya. They would always go up here when they looted Yasnaya, when you had northern circles. Take control and split maybe a bit up around the because it's like on a plateau, so you can pretty easily get pinned in, like in the warehouse area. So split 1 or 2 guys out to get a good off angle position should anyone try and push in. TSM there on the north side. G2 splitting on each their side of the road. That makes sense. Ooh, this is an interesting circle. Okay, so we go over to Stalper, and next one has to go away from water. So it's probably going to go anywhere up here, right? Like anywhere north here. It won't go down towards Yasnaya. I guess it could go like this, but I would assume to see it go north. And that's obviously also why we see so many teams go up there. Jokers try to scout. They might go further. They could even go up here. Did they see him leave? No, I was just going to say there would have been a super smart rotation. If they saw M19 leave the house, they could have gone up and taken that position. G2 pushing in on foot from the east. That's going to be tough. And this is where map analysis becomes tricky, right? Because obviously, I mean, sure, the map is giving us some info. But there's so many small rocks, so many interesting positions where even though you're sitting these guys next to each other, they might not even be able to see one another. And that's where if we could, that's what I want to have in PUBG. Like that's my main, not request, but main hope right now. I mean, there are so many things you can do with observing and all that stuff. But what I want to have available in PUBG is just like in the pro games in Counter-Strike. You get the game, what do you call it? The game server number thingy from the match, like we're doing in order to see this. And then you go into the replays in PUBG and you have like a type in function. And then you can go into the actual game and see how it played out. That would be amazing. If they added something like that, I would be a happy camper. Because then we could actually fly around in the game itself and see it and not have to use map tools to do it. And then also for the players, they could fly around and see it. That would be extremely well. Like really nice. How do you guys do it? Maybe Hayes or Dofus, you can tell me. How do you go about, like, either between games or after game days? Do you use tools like this, or do you just watch the map stream, or because I mean, okay, you have the team streams, of course, that helps out a bit. But still, if you want to get the bigger picture of something and it's only showing first person, then it could be a bit annoying. Circle goes down towards Liquid. Liquid had a really good day yesterday, didn't they? I'm pretty sure they did. Rory is caught up in Stalber. You ain't never getting out of there. NIP has to make their way down. Everyone's trying to push around the sides. That's I can tell you, because you have the entire ridge line here. So if you can come up and sit down here, then you should be pretty safe. As long as you can make sure that no one else can spot you from underneath. You use all of them. Yeah, okay. But imagine if something like that was implemented in PUBG, so that you could take a match ID, put it in your replay search bar, something like that, and then just jump into any game that had been played. That would be amazing. That would be because the match is there anyway, right? It's the one you use the most. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Raise your edge. They're trying to see if they can get something from the west. I mean, it's so difficult to really get proper analysis off of this when it's this area of the map. It's the same in some situations on Miramar, where it's just, I mean, you have what, 10, 11, 12 players sitting on top of each other down here on the south side, and it's just that, I mean, yeah, that could work too. That could work too. I mean, you would have that in the game technically if you went to replay and just zoomed out but kept the name tags on like max range. But I know, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. And BS gets taken down. Raise your edge, man. 4 guys alive again. Let's just scroll back real quick, because they rotated out all the way from the south. So once again, they come in late. Okay, so they take the west coast. You can see this. I mean, we talked about the buffer zone for red diamonds in game 1, right? Look at this. They have so much room without anyone near them. So, like for example, for these teams on the west side, boom, this circle pops. This is their bottleneck, right? They have this room to go in, and there are 4 teams fighting already, and they're entering a fight with another team. Raise your edge. They had a buffer zone that's like 1 kilometer big, so a little more room to roam around, some might argue. But nonetheless, I mean, you can see they're making room for themselves. Every time they hear shots south, they go down to peak. Every time fights are happening north, they go up there to peak. So, and they take out vitality. Oh, there they go. So good job by Raise Your Edge. I mean, honestly, good job by Raise Your Edge and taking them down. Everything is happening south. NIP and Raise Your Edge, they can chill for a little while. I mean, look at you can kind of see the condensation of teams. I think that's the word. Where there are many teams as opposed to where there are few. Team Liquid, They say bada bing, bada boom. Fastwheel gets a double. Good job by him. Stays alive. Gets himself a secure top 3. Goes down though. And then Liquid wins the game. 3 guys alive. They had to move from here over here. Nice position in circle too. Yeah, no, where you can like, it's like in Google Maps, you know, in Google Maps, where you can sit like this and watch. Or if you zoom in far enough, it goes like, and then you can see the terrain and stuff. I mean, you probably don't need to see all the trees, but like a 3D map instead of a 2D map, I think is what Dofus is trying to say. That could be pretty useful, I agree. But just, I mean, just have a search function for the match IDs. Because the match IDs are in the game, right? I mean, we can all go into our replays and search match ID. And, oh no, we cannot search, but we can, I mean, our matches are in there, then it gets saved until the next patch or whatever. But you can always go in there and see them. So imagine if you could do the same for PUBG. Do you guys get access to the LAN games? Because there's no, is there a replay function on the LAN client? Bacon, rip. Is there a replay function on the LAN client? I'm pretty sure there is, right? I'm pretty sure there is. No replays, what? So you can't even stick around in the studio after the game's over to watch, like to fly around and watch the game? Interesting. Game 4. I was... What? Death cams. But can you do like you can do in PUBG, where you go, I mean, play, store, whatever the fuck, replays, see all your matches, click one, jump in, fly around until you're dead? Like you do in like normal public games. Huh. I've never seen like the UI. I assume it looks the same as on the event client, but I've never seen the UI on LAN before. So I don't know. Oh, they load you? Oh, okay. That's cool. I don't... Huh. Okay, I have no idea how it works. I tried to get some info when I was in Leicester for the PGI qualifiers, but the admins, they all spoke Korean, and I was like, can you just give me some dirty details? But they couldn't say anything. And the one that did speak pretty well good English, he was like, Toby, there's only so many things we can share, you know. Like, damn it. You don't even join the lobby. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know how it works. Los Leones or World Poso, game number 4. Any surprises? G2 South. They don't want to go as a how with this plane. Makes sense. They would have to fight Vitality potentially for vehicles. Ends for vehicles. Ratio Edge though. They're going Impala now. So Ends, they're forced further west. We talked to Squeaky. No, not to Squeaky, to Rustanmar the other day. And he said that the way that they split this, of course now with Ratio Edge out here is a little different. But the way that they split, because they don't always land on the same compounds. But the way they split it is according to the plane path. So sometimes it's better for some compounds, and sometimes it's better for other compounds. Makes pretty good sense. TSM going back up to Hacienda. FaZe, they're doing their Monte Nuevo split. Digital and Red Diamonds down here. Yeah, so for teams that are coming in from the north or the east, whoops. No go. You don't want to rotate through Los Leones. So I would assume to see teams go around the southern side. You can go north around Los Leones. The only thing is that you have the crater here. We'll just draw it in red. You have the crater here. You have open fields here. There's just, I mean, if you're trying to rotate in like this, even though you have the dirt roads, it becomes a really scary rotation to make. Vitality. Let me see if I can get into the head of Hayes and see how they're planning on rotating on this one. Vitality will go in late. They will scout from Graveyard and drive through Picado. That's not gonna happen. But it could. I mean, it could happen. It could happen. Or they will just go south around. Because if you try to go north, I mean, you have to bounce over San Martin, and then you're already all the way up here, and there could already be teams scouting, and if you want to go even further, it's El Pozo. So there isn't really a proper entry point from the north, unless if you want to go up over this way. Go over here and scout down, maybe? Either south around, or Picado. Have a good one, Dofus, man. Take care. Take care. Let's see what Vitality does. Let's see what Vitality does. Once they do start rotating in. G2, they're of course just rotating their way into the circle. Or like looting their way into the circle, I guess. Take a compound, go further. Take a compound, go further. Navi, Beach Road all the way in. FaZe, they're gonna go a little down. Take a position up by La Trilliera. Vitality. Scout from Graveyard. Down over Picado. Got it. First try, by the way. You're starting to understand the bigger picture, guys. Starting to understand the bigger picture. Ents, they come in from the south. Makes perfect sense. Jokers, they go all the way around the side. Makes perfect sense too. Rory. Forced out by NIP. Now Circle goes west once again. And this is where it becomes, well, I mean, a little more crowded. Because all of a sudden you have Macera, that's a no-go. And these hills just really, I mean, you can't really drive in these hills. So go all the way around south to Val del Mar. Or go all the way over, not even in, because you have Monte Nuevo. That's going to block off this. Go all the way over the top up here. These are going to be like your two get-goes for anyone that's far out. Unless if you just want to, I mean, take it one step at a time and see what you can take on the edge. But the ratio edge, they're going around. TSM, they're saying, you know, we'll go Monte Nuevo. We saw FaZe move down earlier. Maybe they heard them shoot or heard, like, saw them in the kill feed, so they know they have left. That's going to be room for them. They can now split up. Michael goes to take a high ground position. Ratio edge stopping to scout. M19, high ground position, stopping to scout further as well. Circle goes north. Holy cow. Raise your edge. That's the third time. No, wait. Okay, so one game, raise your edge. They're prim, and the game ends there. Not Primos, but you know what I mean. One game, they come in crazy late, and they get a double southern hard shift. Not saying that they're sitting in the middle of the circle or anything. And this time around, when they go north around, they get a northern circle. It's just, I mean, they're circle 2, circle 3 luck. Whew, that's, it's working for them. I mean, sure. I mean, somebody's got to get the circle, right? It's just crazy how, not 3 games in a row, but at least 3 games out of one day, they get these many circles early on. Sure, they can, I mean, if the next circle goes hard down south, then it didn't really help them a whole lot. But the fact that they got it up there, very, very fortunate for Ratio Edge. Everyone's fighting down here. You can't really get out of it, unfortunately. TSM, they're sitting in the middle. They have like they're on the little higher plateau. Trying to see if maybe they can spot out anyone or make any kinds of rotations in. Everyone's forced to run downhill while they're fighting each other. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible area to be in. Road is going to be horrible for all sides, pretty much. You have high ground position up here that can overlook the entire circle. Same thing going on over here. What can you do if you're a team on the edge right now and you get shifted away from the next circle? That's what I'm trying to think. There's nothing you do. I mean, honestly, just smoke your way down and see if you can get into the city. That's going to be the only thing, because everybody's left their vehicles years ago. Liquid might still have them. They got to shoot a few circles in their direction again. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. Monte Nuevo ending is a big fat yikes. And they go south. Okay, so Knights, they just got themselves a hell of a hard shift. And this is the thing, right? I mean, think about it this way. Think about it, and that's where teams tend to not give PUBG, like competitive PUBG players, enough credit. Think about how much shit has happened already, right? How many crazy circle shifts in this game alone? How many weird rotations have happened? We've lost over half the server already. And still, If you die now, you get 0 points. You might as well just have landed and then suicided. If you don't have any kills, that is, right? So, I mean, think about how hard it is, especially with this point system, to be at the top of the game. It is crazy how difficult it is. Because, I mean, in this circle, sure, there are more teams alive, or more players alive than you would have had it been an open circle, because you have so much city on the northern side, like on the other side of the road. But still, it's just impressive. I mean, every single time I watch PUBG competitively, no matter if it's high tier or low tier, the fact that people can stay alive for the amount of time they do and the rotations they make, it's impressive to watch. There's always, I mean, I'm probably one of the casters in PUBG. I think I can say that pretty confidently. I think I'm one of the casters in PUBG that has casted the biggest, at least recently, the biggest variety of like skill level in PUBG competitive plays. And even in the lower tiers, you can, every single game, go back and look at the VOD, watch the map stream or whatever, and find something where you're like, this guy, this team, this whatever, really well done. Something you'd only see in like, something you would not even see pro players do 9 out of 10 times. Just something where the guy just 100% knew what to do and he executed it to perfection. Those small things is what I'm just really loving in PUBG. They could rotate there with the bus. I mean, they've been there for a while, right? I mean, they sat down here, then they moved up, and then they, yeah, there are 3 guys in the bus. Sat here for a while. So clearly that paid off for them. You don't understand how TSM could fail so hard there, considering their position. Well, I mean, let's rewind a bit. TSM have 4 guys up. They instantly get Michael knocked. I mean, you can see they were splitting out. They were trying to get Gustav was holding off Navi. Michael was trying to get all the info, it would seem like. I mean, he has like the high ground position. He can pretty much look everywhere he wants to, right? So he's sitting up here. New circle pops, and whoever calls it says, Gustav, Michael, let's fall back and take a position, because we know that this area here is gonna be like a huge fucking chaos of teams trying to make their way in. I mean, teams will go from the south over, teams will be coming in from here, and they have to fall back. You can see Gustav runs back, Michael starts falling back, and while he's on his way back, boom, he gets knocked. Immediately, that's 1 player down, and you have to figure out how the hell do we play with this one. Boom, goes Rory tries to go help, he gets knocked. Immediately 2 players knocked, right? Michael gets knocked. You can see he's still running north. You can see like on the little tail there. He's still running north, and he gets shot in the back of the head or something like that. So he gets knocked. No info to the teammates where he gets shot from, because, well, he got shot in the back, right? Rory is coming up to help, and it's his job to pinpoint where the opponents are. Boom, gets knocked by jokers. All of a sudden, just 2 guys alive now. Gustav is down the hill. He's down on the bottom. He's like on the level with the road down here. Wookie is all on his own. If Gustav wants to come help, he has to run all the way around to the top to then figure out where everyone is and start shooting. And then, I mean, that would take at least 20 seconds, and he would die before, I mean, his teammates would die before he gets up there. Wookie then has to figure now, what do I want to do? Because jokers just land some really good shots. I mean, not a whole lot more to it than that. Rory, Michael down. Wookie has to disengage. He gets caught off by an IP. He's up there. He says, fuck it, I'm going down to Gustav. Let me get the hell out of here. Boom. Gets taken out immediately as soon as he gets to the car. And that's one of those plays where even though you have the position, even though you have the info, you just get fucked. So, sure, they could have, there are things they could have done. Maybe if Michael ran backwards instead of just sprinting away, he could have gotten the info that there are people behind him, and he could have seen them. But in the end, I mean, it's just jokers landing some extremely good shots to take them out. Yeah, exactly. Two tapping Rory. And honestly, at that point, because, I mean, Michael gets knocked off without doing any sort of retaliation. Just boom. There you go. 1 player knocked. And then imagine Rory. Rory comes up. Okay, we have a knock guy over here. I'm gonna go up and help. Let me just get up. And then he gets killed off as well, right? So, I mean, what are you gonna do then? Gustav is down the hill. There's like a fucking 100 meters down from here to here. He cannot do anything. Wookie is up there by himself, and they have still, at this point, they have still not pinpointed the positions of all the Joker's players. So what can you really do there? So again, even though they have the position, Joker's just, I mean, sometimes you can say, oh, the team that defended it played it so bad. Sometimes you also have to turn it around and say, well, the guys that engaged, they just played it extremely well. That's the thing, right? If you're playing solo games and you're running around in the open and you get one tapped and you're like, what the hell just happened here? And you go into the replay and you're like, okay, so this guy just headshotted me from 300 meters away. All you can do, honestly. Because you can go in and do your research and stuff. But if a guy just taps the fucking hell out of you, all you can do is just say, you know what? I got wrecked. There's not a lot more you can do. Sure, for these guys, there are a lot of stuff you can go in and analyze, but overall, I mean, sometimes you just gotta say they landed the shots when they had to, and there was nothing we could do to prevent that. So, well played by Jokers. I mean, they earned themselves a spot in the circle off of that rotation. You shouldn't have been there getting info on it. Doesn't matter, the terrain is too hard to get a res. Yeah, well, I mean, they rotated a few seconds earlier, had he spotted them out. There are many things that could have gone so differently, right? Because had TSM now been 4 guys alive sitting up here and taking out all the Joker's players, they could have shot at everyone and won the game because nobody would have been able to push them. So it's always difficult. It is always difficult to really figure out how things could have went and how they did go. I mean, especially in PUBG. That's what I think is one of the main issues for maybe not the top tier players, but a lot of people when they look back at their games, I know this because I've talked with a lot of people, tried to help them out to improve and stuff. They always go, oh no, what if we, and what if we had, and what if we did, and what if we could have, and like so many what ifs. In the end of the day, that's all good, but you have to talk about your execution and how, like, what did happen. Not what if something had happened, but what did happen. And they all go like, oh, what if you had landed that shot? And, oh, what if we had done this? Or, oh, why couldn't you just have done this or that? And I'm like, guys, if you wanna improve, you have to look at not what if, like you have to go down and look at what actually happened. And then then once you figure out what went wrong, then you can talk about what you should have done. But about all those like imaginary situations where, oh, if we have had him, then we could have killed those other 2 guys, but you didn't have him, so you can't really. I mean, you gotta cut off all the 3 circles ahead kind of discussions when you want to improve, and just go down to say what went wrong here. And sure, I mean, on the grand scheme of things, on the bigger picture, you gotta sort of talk over the whole game, but if you ain't even getting to that point, then maybe you gotta figure out the points that come in before that, right? If that makes sense. I hope it does. Circle. Knights. I think the PUBG gods really want Knights to win this game. I'm not sure if they do, but at least the circles are favoring them pretty hard. NIP and M19, they have to cross the road. That ain't gonna happen. Liquid. Oh, they try to push around. 3 guys pushing over, falling back again. And again, we can't really see this rain here, but I'm pretty sure there's like a somewhat of a plateau up here. Knights go 4 together. Liquid split. Teams tried to run around, but it became a merry-go-round instead. Woo! It became like a yin and yang. You can see it. Knights, they just go, you know, we're 4 guys alive. Let's just run them down. And that's what we've seen them do so many times before. They did it really well back when they had Texas on their team too. And I mean, Reels is there. He's a great fragger, so he goes in, gets a lot of damage in, and takes them down. So Knights, they might have, some might argue that they got a bit lucky with this circle and with that one. But you know what? Sometimes you need some luck in order to win some games. And fortunately, sometimes the PUBG gods are there to provide it for you. Game number 5, 1 more game to go. And that's gonna meet the mark pretty well because now it's 12 and I have to fly in 2 hours. So we'll go into the last one. Plane, south to northeast up over military. Windstrike going all the way up to military this time. I'd like to see that. Circle goes out east as well. We've had these circles so many times. Sure, okay, this one is a little further north actually than what we've seen previously. No reason for FaZe to try and contest vehicles over red diamonds, so they'll just go out early. We've seen that before. This time around, Jokers are the ones shooting Impala. Jokers normally go up west coast, or like west side, so they jump down to Impala instead. Raise your edge, they'll go up to Torre Armada and Cruz del Valle. And yeah, not a whole lot more to it. Pretty straightforward. Early on, Kramer takes the compound up here. Maybe you can hold off some rotations, because we know that Liquid like to send EB up either here or here when they're rotating out. Campo Militar with the rolling R's as well. Rrr. Military base, Campo Militar. It's actually kind of interesting, right? When you think about it. Why it's called Campo Militar on Miramar, but it doesn't have, because that's obviously the word for military camp or base in Spanish, but it doesn't have the whatever, how. Let me just Google this real quick. Military base. Is it one word? In Russian?
Военная база. Военная база.
Why is it not called Военная база on the Rankle then? Just saying. That's something I've been wondering. I wonder about weird things sometimes. But why do we call it military base on like Sosnovka Military Island? You know, why do we call it that when it's not on? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Nobody would understand it. What is this type of place? Basa. That's all we understood. True. We would not understand what was going on. Hey Tess, how are you doing? And hey Frost as well. Northern circle, straightforward. East side, close to water, all the way around north. There are plenty of compounds to go for. Only issue with this one being that you have the field down here. You don't want to get caught in. You have a lot of high ground positions you can scout further from. And of course you have the field down here as well that you don't really want to get caught in either. But there's plenty of rotation opportunities for everyone, so it's not really a big issue. If your team like Knights, either you're going through here. Kramer is already down. All right, Gamer Boy. Thank you so much for the follow. And yeah, everyone can go on the edges to see Liquid. They don't want to go through the field. They'll go all the way around to the side. Now they're mistiming their rotation a bit though, because they're fortunately nothing happened. But driving straight down with both Navi and CC, that's a little scary. NIP go up. Red Diamonds, they don't want to go through San Martin, or through San Martin, so they go further north. And circle goes continuingly north. And this is funny because, again, normally when we see a shift in one direction, you would just go, oh, but then you can just rotate on the other side. Issue here being that, I mean, on the west side, it's really nicely done with the whole shadow thingy. But on the east side, it's like this. For those of you guys who don't know, I'm just gonna draw it up real quick. This is inaccessible terrain. We cannot go up here. It's gonna block you off. Which means that normally where you would just go around the side to the other. I mean, you can still go north around, sure. You can still do a rotation like this in from the north, but you cannot do it on the east, and it's going to limit your opportunities for rotations for so many people, because, okay, Navi is already up here. They can continue around the side and then try and see if they can get in somewhere and get a compound, maybe here, or the warehouse down here. But for everyone else that are coming in later, if any team decides to set up shop either in the intersection down by gas station or up here, hillside north of El Azahar, it's going to be so difficult because all you have to rotate through is this area here. It's probably 200 meters wide, something like that. And you're trying to fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potentially 6 teams in, depending on what Jokers decide to do. I would assume to see Jokers go down here, maybe scout, and go on the other side. But Navi, I mean, Navi can get up, and if Navi says, you know what, we're gonna hang out, we ain't gonna hurry, we're just gonna chill, that's gonna fuck over potentially 6 other teams. Whereas if you're on the other side, you can just go all the way around, because look at how much space you have. mean, Windstrike, they're already center. They're probably not going to move out too far. They could take the high ground position south of Sierra Bronca. But if you're down south, like all these teams are, because of this road, I'll just draw it in red so it's easier to see. Because of this road and the city, you can very easily get pinned like down here in the bottom half of the circle, because you have to kind of rotate around or around, if that makes sense. I mean, you can go through, but it's just really dangerous because it's down and up again, right? Capability, yeah, true, Cyber, makes sense. And I'm good at test, thank you so much. I'm flying to Stockholm in 2 hours, so just doing this last game, and then I'm probably gonna hop off afterwards. As we said, everyone going in from the east side, other teams going in around the north. Nobody wants to go through here, so there's a heart completely open. Puck you, yes, it is very puck you. CC forced all the way further out. They came in the latest, and now okay, so Digital, they were like, you know what, we'll stick around. There's a chance that the circle comes back down. They came in super late, right? And they get it gifted towards them. Now that's hard. I mean, the issue with this area is that it's like a big hole. It's a big valley with just this city. So teams could be sitting anywhere around you. And if the circle shifts out at any point, you're completely fucked. And the team that is on the side that it shifts to is gonna be in such a big advantage. Digital, they go over on the side. I like the rotation. Take control of... I don't know if I would want to sit inside the warehouse because it's really open on both sides. But interesting rotations nonetheless coming in now. We can see FaZe, they're going over the top. They realize there's no way in hell we're going back down this way because all these teams are already fighting. I mean, this is a point you want to go to. Or we can draw it up like this. This is a point you want to be in. And honestly, at this point, you can sit down south because you can always just sort of last resort type of just send it down into the city. But these are probably the two better places to be right now. Or unless if you want to be all the way out east, but then you would require for a really good circle. Because this is an open area. This area up here, we'll draw it in another color so it's easier to see. This is an open area. This down here is rather open too. And you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of that. So sure, you could say, oh, but here's a good high ground position. You can scout forward. But if sure it's a high ground position, and you could sit up here and say, oh, nice, there are 4 other teams over here, which means you cannot rotate anywhere, because as soon as you go in the open, well, you're dead. So so honestly, what I think Knights would be doing, either push in here or go even further south. I could imagine Knights sitting down south, because even if the circle goes north, you can kind of do the, oh, well, this didn't work, let's just see what else we can do, and then go center. And hey, Sensix and Vavi, hope you guys are doing good. Some end spam in the chat. And Sigma is there as well. Good morning to you. Morning. I've been streaming since 8. NIP. Go for the city. Last resort type plays. Knights might be going... Okay, 2-2 splitting. I like that. Like that. 2 guys in the... Because Voxic and Drayden have bikes. So they can park them inside the gas station. And they're just waiting for next circle anyway, right? So it makes sense. But look at the amount of teams up north now. Because what we saw before... This is the reason why we get so many teams up here. Because of this shift. We talked about how little room there was to get in from down here, and now we could set themselves up to hold everyone out. That forced so many of the teams to go around this way, and because the circle then went up and boom, shifted back down south, then they get fucked because all of a sudden, all the room that these teams had to rotate out here, like all this room, we'll just draw it like this. All this room potentially that they had to rotate. Look how wide it is, right? It's the same amount of teams alive almost. We still have 16 teams. We've only lost 5 players at this point. This room now becomes this room. And you have to fit it through, like go over the valley on the other side. So there's just not room for that many teams to rotate. And that's why, I mean, all these teams are forced to say, well, we didn't get down there. We didn't get down in this direction before the other guys. We just have to wait it out. And as you can see, FaZe, they try to go over the top. Ratiates try to send it down. NIP, they come down inside. We'll just go forward a little bit. And then we have the cluster up here of all the teams trying to fight their way through. If this circle goes down here, that would be hilarious. Please go. Oh, almost. Almost. It goes east anyway. And honestly, for Voxic and Drayden, this is the play you want to make. Sit down here. There's absolutely no reason to do anything else. And that's what they're doing, dude. Oh, they're going back, though. They saw Vitality go underneath. Okay, okay. Makes sense. So they see Vitality go in, and then they crash the city instead. I think that's what scared them off, because if you want to drive down here, and also keep in mind that in these circles, the or in with these circle settings, the time between the circles, especially later in the game, is not that long. Sure, they close in slower, but the time between them is still shorter. So they probably figured for us to go over here, down the valley, over, up on the other side, over, and then over this way would take us too long. We'd be tanking too much blue. We just have to send it in because we're already at 17 minutes. So we're somewhat late to it. We should have rotated. Had they all four been up there, they could maybe have done it, but by the time they get up, over, these circles already started rotating in, and because they don't want to tank blue, they don't know if there's still people down here. It would be a scary push for them to make. And like the push from Ends as well. It's just scouting. I mean, there's perfect scouting. They sit up there, they scout down. I mean, Trifley goes down. They scout here. From here, he can spot over. He sees that that's open. He continues. Squeaky runs down, gets himself into a better position. Boop, there you go. Go over and join your teammate. Perfect play. And sure, they get the circle. I mean, some might argue that's a bit of a lucky shift for them, but I mean, it has to go somewhere, right? And if you don't want to be inside the city, then, I mean, if we zoom it out just before the circle pops, if you don't want to be in the city, I mean, then either Navi or Ends is pretty much like Navi, Ends, Vitality. They're the ones sitting on the 3 spots around the city. One of them, there's a 33% chance to get this circle if you're sitting where they are. And because even if it goes center, like it had to really hard shift and cut off here to not have Ends in, but then they could still just push up to the hillside. So they play the chances, they play the odds. They scouted it perfectly and they go down. Smart place coming in from them. Vitality, they went down south. Knights, they go into the city. They know they have some sort of room to maneuver around, so they'll utilize that. TSM try to push in on foot. And they're still 11. Again, we talked about this last game as well. Think about how many teams have been fighting their way here and how hard it has been already. We're down to under half the server, again, 30 alive. And we still are not within placement points. So if a team gets eliminated now without any kills, 0 points for you. It's absolutely crazy, brutally ruthless, this point system. Especially on Miramar. Because you could just, I mean, on Miramar, on Wrangle, I'm gonna say 8 out of 10 times. 8 out of 10 times if you get shifted away from on a Wrangle. There is, I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really, really tough. But there's something you can do. Either it requires to have that full send YOLO rotation that gets you one guy in the circle, but that's still you being alive. Or it forces you to fight through 3 teams, but there's still a chance that you can make it. Whereas on Miramar, if you get hard shifted away from, like really bad hard shift away, very often you're just fucked. Because you won't be able to use wheels or vehicles, I guess, in general. And it's just, I mean, it's just, if you're fucked on Miramar, then you're fucked. That's pretty much it. It's better than the old one, the point system. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind this point system. I still think small adjustments could be made, and I'm pretty sure they will be. Maybe not from face to face, but at least for season 2. I hope that it won't be as kill heavy as it is right now. I don't mind it being kill heavy. I like that. I don't mind that at all. But a little less kill heavy would be good. I still feel like we're more on the Korean side of the sort of the midway, as opposed to what we were before. Like if we have the meter here, and this is Korean, and this is the unified settings we had on the west, sort of in the west scene, western scene, then we're not really in the middle right now. We're kind of leaning over on the Korean side more. Even though they have gone from only top 4 gets points to top 8, but still. I think the 1 to 10 ratio is too low. Everyone fighting. Ends just has to keep it safe, stay in their compound. All they have to worry about right now is Michael and Kane, because nobody's going to push over to their side, right? And the good thing for them is as soon as Michael or Kane peeks over the top, both Vitality, or Murder's probably not going to do anything because he's all by himself, but Vitality and Navi, they can all shoot up. So ends, they cannot really rotate out before they have dealt with what's behind them, because that's just going to fuck them over. Michael goes down. Now they see that. Kane goes down too. Boom, that's their call to rotate over. And there's just not a whole lot to play from. They get down 1. Push down south. Circle goes towards Vitality again. Vitality has been playing this game well, smart as well. They push around the southern side instead of going over. It's a really smart place from them. They go down though. Ends 4-man together. Finnish team. Deadly, deadly, deadly. Hard to deal with. Navi against Ends. Who will take the win? Rustenmar? Or... Oh, no. It's Navi. Okay, Navi. I was like, oh, did he just 1v2? But nope, not going to happen. Navi wins it. So, interesting game. Interesting circles, too. And just overall, I mean, really, really fun day 1 for a new week. I mean, that's the thing to me. Because this is... Of course, these games will be sort of in the back of the heads of all the players coming into the next week, right? Or the next day. So, it's always funny when you have these scary circles, especially the Arankle game, where they were forced so far out in the west. Because you keep saying, oh, well, new circle settings, it's going to be all right and stuff like that. But then you get those like, what? The actual swear word just happened. And yeah, sometimes that just really fucks you over. That's how it is. That is PUBG for you. That is PUBG for you. But I think that is going to be it for this video and for the talk now. So thank you so much for watching along on YouTube, and see you next time.